Welcome, guys. I'm just interviewing David Mouse today for the 10 Million in 10 Years podcast. David, update.
Well, we're in a different location. We're not at the
Yes, we
apartment
are.
anymore.
Let's go.
So that's pretty noticeable.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's been almost a year since we were last sitting down
Yes,
together
it
in a
is.
podcast together.
It's felt longer.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
Crazy year.
Does anything stick out to you that's been a highlight over the last 12 months? One or two things?
The last 12 months, there's a lot of things there's a lot of learnings through the growth, the pain of growth this year. Stick out highlights. Oh, mate, some client wins has probably been like crazy highlights for me this year. I would say this year I met like my miracle client. I was stunned.
As in
yeah.
someone that like you respect a lot? Or...
Yeah, no, I just didn't know that he would change.
Ah.
He's like, he jokes about it now. He's like, mate, throw me under the bus. But he was in the dumps, mate. He was, he was not great. And then, blew my mind when he came out. He was full 180 from like narcissistic addiction, everything to the total opposite. So that's probably been one of the biggest highlights this year. And then, man, just clarity now for next year. I'm fizzing.
You're fizzing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. And we just did the event together. That was cool.
Yeah, that was epic. That was a good time. Yeah, it was epic. Yeah.
That was awesome. Had, what did we have, about 16 or so?
A full room.
Full room.
That's
Full
what I know.
house.
That's what I know.
And that'll lead into a unique cohort collab
Yes.
next year. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it, man. I think it's needed, especially in the realm of business right now after a year that most businesses have had. I think everyone's just kind of feeling it.
Yeah.
And now we had 2,000 plus liquidations this year for businesses.
What is
across New
normal?
Zealand.
Do you know?
I don't, but
No.
all I know is that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So I'm stoked to still be here. We're rocking it. We're
still
rocking it.
alive. Well, that's one of the things with business, right? Like,
Yeah.
part of it is just staying alive.
Yes.
Like, growth's great.
And I can be proud of that.
And I'm all about growth, but
100%.
stage one is just survival.
Yeah, that's it. Nah, it's been good. I'm pumped. We're going year 5 next year for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't
go.
we back it up a bit for anyone that hasn't listened to the original episode, doesn't know anything about yourself, NeuroFit? What would you say to them in, say, 2, 3, 4 minutes?
2, 3, 4
Bit of
minutes
background, bit of a
NeuroFit.
origin story.
Yeah, cool. So origin story, started NeuroFit. I got into the mental health space after my wife and I really battled with severe mental and emotional issues. That lasted for a while. We tried a whole bunch of stuff. I got more frustrated because nothing was working. And then from there, I was like, mate, this is stupid. I wasn't born this way. There has to be something else. So went into the deep dive for myself, never to try and get into this space, but it was more just like, can I save my wife's life? Can I save my life? Can I get our marriage back? And so that was the ultimate goal. Long story short, did that, found some new tools and everything. And then, thought I should be a therapist, and then went down the study route. And then when I finished, I realized I don't want to do that. And so, I started as a mental health consultant in 2016 through to just B2B stuff. And then once I did that till COVID, and then COVID hit, no one wants external contractors into their workplace, and then that forced us to rebrand to NeuroFit and go for a direct client approach. And then that was probably the game changer. I was stoked to have built a program to say, can we get outrageous results for clients that they don't need us when they finish? And then basically, been doing that until this year, end of last year, we opened the door quite a bit back to B2B after we got some significant results consistently with direct clients. And then this year, it's just been the teething process of how do we, if I die tomorrow, does everything die with me? Or how do we actually scale this beyond me so that I can actually, impact a bit more? So that's kind of, the whole thing of what we do is we clear the mental mess. The mental mess is everything beneath the surface that gives reason for everything on the surface. And so on the surface, a person could be battling with, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, insomnia, guilt, shame, perfectionism, self-doubt, fear of failure, all the stuff that's on the surface. The mental mess is everything beneath the surface. We go there, we restructure, we renovate, we do long-term brain change so that the symptoms no longer have to bombard a person's life. And I'll say we get some pretty epic results.
One
So
thing
that's, my 2-minute bam spiel.
It's good. It's pretty good. One thing that stuck out from the event was the crack house analogy.
Oh, yes.
And I know it's a bit harder without a visual representation, but the crack house.
The crack house analogy. So basically, what we do is we renovate thoughts, right? Thoughts are mental real estate. Mental real estate, basically it takes up space in your brain. So now that we all know with real estate, there's some crap neighborhoods and there's not so crap neighborhoods. In your brain, there's toxic thoughts, there's healthy thoughts. Toxic thoughts release toxic chemicals into your body. Healthy thoughts release healthy chemicals. What we do is we find the toxic thoughts and we renovate and we restructure and we do long-term brain change with that. And so that's what we use the crack house analogy is we take a toxic thought and we say, this is your crack house and your brain's full of crack houses. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the most toxic, potent crack house and renovate the heck out of it to a nice 1-bedroom, healthy apartment. And now you can leave us and begin to build that 1-bedroom apartment into a pretty epic, healthy mansion. Yeah.
I like it.
I'm an analogy person. I don't like theories.
Nah.
I like pictures.
I think we all are, really.
Yeah,
I
there you go.
If you can visually get a concept or an idea in your head, it's a lot easier than an abstract, right?
And everyone overcomplicates the brain. I'm like, it's your brain. Everyone has one, so you should learn how to know what to do with it, how it works for you. So in my head, analogies are the way to go.
It is a complicated thing though. When you factor in your past experiences, trauma, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah,
for sure. And there's the thing, it's like scientists are still trying to figure out how it all works, But I think when it comes down to it, and you're looking at like, what is the purpose of you knowing what you want to know about your brain? It's essentially like, how do I make it work for me in my life? That's the main reason. And so there's so much out there to know about that. And I think the biggest powerful thing that people should know is that you can change it. Like you have a choice. I think today a lot of people feel stuck and then it feels like the change is impossible to make because they don't have choice or they don't know what choice they can make. And I think that's giving someone clarity around what a choice does to the brain is probably the thing that is the game changer.
That's so cool. Yeah, and one thing that jumps out to me is just the amount of overwhelmingly positive sentiment around people that have done NeuroFit.
Oh, that's good.
It's 100%, 100%, man. Like, I probably know a dozen or so people that have gone through the program.
Love that.
And that was one of the catalysts for, arranging that event last week.
Yeah.
Was like, this is awesome. So if there's been such a good amount of feedback, then let's do something together.
Yeah, I'm keen. I'm all about it. And that's the thing. I think for most of us, like our rep has been people's stories, and so everything that we do is like, well, we want to get results. It's like one of our values, and that's one of the best things that sets us apart in the whole mental health space. Is that most therapists or in the mental health space, you can't really promise a result, and so I think for us putting ourselves in PD and saying we get results with this because I'm a guy that's driven by results. I think it's given people a lot of hope. Yeah.
And just to summarize, is it an 8-session program?
Yeah. So the mental mess program is it's an 8-session program. It's basically done in a cohort of like-minded individuals trying to clear their crap. Really?
And how many?
So we normally get about 8 is minimum, and then 12 is max.
Cool.
And then we'll just rock with we have 2 facilitators in it, and it's not like it's a classic group program. The like most common question, will I just have to tell all my crap to everybody? And no, it's not. Hi, I'm Derek. I'm an alcoholic. AA program. It's a individual program. It's for you, but it's facilitated in a cohort setting. And so we basically give you the tools. You do most of the deep work outside of the session. You come back, and then the time you do really talk is when we basically split people up in pairs and give them some prompts on our screen of, hey, share an insight that you got through your own thought detox this week, and some questions that you're going to basically counsel each other a bit deeper for 5 minutes each, and then we come back, we add some more stuff on. So Yeah, it's very proactive, if that makes sense.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, it should be good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got the February program kicking off, but then
Yes.
you've also got other programs running, what, monthly, every 2 months?
Yeah, so basically NeuroFit's got three main services. Two is like personal to the individuals, and then the other one is our like workplace leadership program. So the cohort program runs by intake. So it's like, cool, we got 8 doing intake. Some months we have 3 intakes go, some months it's 1.
Yeah.
And then the other 2, personal one, if you work one-on-one with me, it's a 12-month process. And I basically take 10 people a year one-on-one through that. And then the workplace one is a 12-month leadership program. It's basically all around like building emotional intelligence with people leaders, which I think is, missing today.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you mentioned scale before. You mentioned the NeuroFit vision, or your vision for making it something that's beyond yourself. So I guess you mentioned the other facilitators. Yeah,
so we've got four people that's basically able to facilitate our programs. We also have a youth program that we do through the 2B Foundation. And so this year has been the teething process of that, of like, okay, cool. You know, Aussie, you run the session, and then it's me like, I've got to go through the whole process. You know, the classic, you created something your own, and then you see someone else do it, and you're like, okay, he didn't say it the way I needed him, or I wondered how I would say it. Is that good? Is that bad? All those little things. And so, this year I finally felt like we got to a point where I can definitely trust facilitators, or our facilitators. And then the next part is essentially having it systemized correctly for them to pick up manual, and then I can actually train facilitators to the point where I'm just a trainer of trainers in that space.
Love it. I mean, having 4, that's a great start toward that
100%,
vision, right?
100%. Because I think when it was just me, I mean, heck, on a one-on-one side, I'm like, okay, I'm capped at like 15 a month. We go to a cohort now. Me by myself, I could probably see 72 a month through a cohort program. But now you times that by 4, and take me out of it. It's significant.
When do you think you'll get beyond Christchurch? When do you think you'll go to a different?
Yeah, this is the thing. It's like half of me goes, let's just send it, like let's go. And then the other half of me goes, oh, hold on, we've just made a massive step. Let's get quality right in this, because I'm a big believer in like fast growth is not sustainable long term, or it's not healthy. And so, and because we're in the space where we are teaching health, like the mental and emotional intelligence kind of thing, I've got to be a bit like actually intelligent on that. So this year I can't put a date and say we're gonna go big outside of Christchurch. I do have clients outside of New Zealand and outside of Christchurch, but I think in that specific program, it's basically let's see how much we can handle here and have a massive impact here with the cohort program itself, and then do our systems enable us to now train remotely. And maybe it's not me by then. Maybe it's someone else that doesn't have a family, and which we do have people on our team that does, and so they have the ability to travel more and all that kind of stuff. So that's a goal. We can definitely go outside of Christchurch for our commercial stuff, and that's pretty easy. But that specific program, because it's our bread and butter in terms of it's set the tone of our results, we don't want to see our results go down just by fast growth.
Of course.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done it remotely?
One-on-one, yes.
Oh, one-on-one, but not the cohort, no.
No. I've toyed around, utilizing Zoom and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot more. It's different when it's in person.
Totally.
And in a room where you control the atmosphere, you control how long people when someone's just broken down crying and you're like, oh, I couldn't quite see that in the breakout room. So, like, whereas in person, you're like, oh, I'm just going to walk over with some tissues real quick, just check in. You're all good. So there's a view of risk, basically trying to figure that one out.
Understood. Yeah. When did you move into Peterborough?
February this year.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's why it's been a crazy year. I think in January, it was just me by myself with a laptop at the welder. Still rocking it, hiring out venues here and there to, getting a solid office space on Peterborough Street, which then gives us the ability to run all our events and all our cohorts and have the team in one location. So it's been a bit of fun times.
I love that. Evolution for you, evolution for the podcast. We're not in the apartment anymore.
Yeah, man. And that's the best part, right? Like it's everyone wants to know the journey. No one wants to know like, oh, you finally got here. It's like, no. So tell me about the crap you had to go through that journey. And I got a lot more respect for business owners.
Yeah,
it's just because I got to do it myself.
It's far from plain sailing all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. I think it's so easy to look from the outside and say, man, I want that. I want the fact that you have that freedom, or you're like, oh, actually, there's a lot more you don't know or see or think about. So it's my thoughts.
What percentage of the population do you think would be self-employed?
I have no idea.
10%? 15%?
I mean, I'd like to think so.
I'm just guessing.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
But then you have like, okay, there's self-employment that's like, I've been on the grind. I'm self-employed, but I'm not making anything, and I might be living off government funds. There's a lot of population or a lot of people in that space, and you're like, oh, I don't know if that's like, can you really class yourself as, I'm an entrepreneur? There's those ones that claim it. They don't know what they're doing though.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast are potentially they're employed and wanting to become self-employed, or they've got a side hustle, or potentially they've got like a business, but they're not employing others. And so,
let's talk about this.
Yeah,
let's talk about that. How did you transition?
Well, I've always been, not always, but generally I've been self-employed most of my life. Yeah, so I've had in roles, but generally probably 85, 90% of the time.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's been on me. And so I don't really know any different.
Okay. Well, my journey is the opposite of yours.
Right.
Is growing up in the family I grew up in, and growing up in South Africa, safety is key. So it's always been taught like, like get a stable job because that's safe, and the things don't get taken from you. And that was what was modeled. And so I think all my life up until my ultra frustration was taking financial advice from authority that didn't really do much with finances. They just had stability, but no freedom. And so I never thought I was allowed to fail, because that means that's not what you're supposed to be doing, because it should have worked, and all those little things. And so I think it got to the point where I was in a job and just completely hated it. And my wife was the one that pushed me. Because she was like, oh, what would it take for you to be happy? And I'm like, out of here. That's for sure. And so, I started really hopping into just reading a whole bunch of business books and, like, could this be a thing that I do? All that kind of stuff. And then, because when I first studied, I was like, I should just go find a new job as a therapist. Like, that was my thing. And then I was like, but the system I'd hop into, I don't want. And so now I've got this frustration with I don't fit a box of what society has built in an industry. What the heck do I do? Classic. Have you seen the movie Divergent? The Divergent series of you fit a society norm, and if you don't, you're excommunicated. And so it was a little bit oh my gosh, people always ask, so what do you do? And you're like, well, I work with people. Not too sure. So I was in insurance is paying the bills, and I was like, I'm going to find a problem. Everyone's like, well, you get paid in proportion to the problem that you solve. And so I learned that while listening to a whole bunch of good old Insta entrepreneurs. And I was like, okay, cool. Find a problem, solve it, Rico. And so, well, my biggest frustration was people were paying to medicate or manage things that they could get rid of. And because I've been through the season myself, I was like, I wonder how I could solve that problem. And surely, if I could solve that problem, it's a big problem. And therefore, I should get paid in proportion to solving a big problem. And so it took me 4 years to get that off the ground. And every year it was like, the next 6 months, I'm leaving. I've got this. And you try ideas. No one takes it, and I think multiple crap ideas led to a coaching program. I think if you're trying to jump out, the biggest thing is knowing that your first idea is never your best one, but you should start to get to your one that works. If I was to go back now and do it, practicals, okay, I would, especially if you're single or you don't have a family, man, it's your time to shine. Like it's just you. So I would rock my full-time job, pay the bills, right? I would then figure out who is it that I want to work with and what do I want to help them with? Do I want to work with gym athletes? Do I want to create a product that's tangible? So it's finding the market that you want to serve. If you're in a service business, find the market and find out what their need is without trying to create something that you think they want. So once you find out, you talk to them. Oh my gosh, you say this, you say this, you say that. Great. I can do something with that. Now you find a problem that's validated by the market and you start working on ideas to solve that problem. And then I would literally just start testing. Don't wait till it's perfect, just test an idea. So for me, I created a coaching program in COVID. We're still rocking my full-time job. And I just went on Facebook and I said, hey, so I'm taking on 5 clients. It's $50 a session. And people were like, yep, keen. And then I tested it. And then from there, I was like, well, that was crap. This was good. I'll take that, keep it going. But then I also learned who I want to work with in that. My ideal client from my head without working with them, when I worked with them, not really my ideal client. But you don't know that. So that's what I would do. And then once I started getting traction, I would basically figure out, cool, what is my survival cost for 3 to 6 months? And what we did was we moved into my in-laws to get our costs way down. So not paying rent, nothing. And I saved up 3 months of living costs. I was like, great, I'm taking the leap. We're going to make this happen. And then took the leap. And then I was basically like, sweet, in my head, first month, I'm probably going to make nothing. But I'm going to go hard so that I get the reward in the second month. And then that happened. And then basically the second month, I made 3 months income in that month. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. It's starting to work. And then probably the big thing that set me apart was I associated as fast as I could, I associated myself with someone that's already credible to an audience. So no one knew who the Rico was. Didn't have a following, so what I did was I found I wanted to work in the gym space back then because I was like, people that's wanting to work on themselves either they're at the gym. And I need people willing to do the work. So I found a gym owner that was pumped about mental and emotional health. And so just connected. And he loved it. He jumped in the program. I gave it to him for free. And then from there, he was like, oh, great, let's do an event together. And now immediately my credibility went up to his credibility to his whole membership. And so we did an event at his gym. After that, all his members now saw NeuroFit as the main provider for mental and emotional health. And so from there, my credibility is up here and it can only move up from there. And so I think the sooner you get attached to someone credible, it's leaps. The moment I could say I work with Crusaders and All Blacks, open doors. And I think just because, you can associate with credibility. That's what I would say.
That's good.
On that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. It's a long conversation.
It's a really methodical way of going about it.
Yeah.
The only thing I would probably do differently, and it was more around the sequence of events, is just getting that buffer established. So having that 3 to 6 months.
And just,
and probably leaping at some point. And that's always the delicate balance, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing is I didn't know, because I'm like, at the time, I'm making it up every single day. You know, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I get a big break, you know, and boom, this massive contract comes through and I'm good. You know, and so you just think, because you don't know what you're offering. Like the first time I was offering just like, I'm talking to corporates and running workshops, and I'm like, yeah, easy as, it's a 3-month retainer. If I can get just one, I'm good. So I had no savings, and then realized, that doesn't work. So because people let you in to come and speak when you've actually done something. But I didn't know that, and so then finally built this, and I was like, I can sell this and repeat this and sell. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep doing this until this stacks up, and then we're gonna go all out. But yeah.
I love it. The partnerships and the collaborating with other brands and businesses, communities, so good.
Honestly, like, is the biggest part, the best way you can build, especially in Christchurch. I think in anywhere, everyone's trying to build it online, to build their personal brand. I did it. I was like, I'm on Instagram, you know, hey, doing this, think of this. The only thing is, if no one knows who the heck you are, or they just know about you, there's still an element of I don't trust you.
For sure.
The moment you can build actual relationship with people, that wonder of can I trust you or can I not disappears. And then everyone else that trusts this person now trusts you because they do. And I think that's really, understated today.
Yeah, I think it's getting easier and easier now as well, though, with technology and with more visibility online. Like it is easy to form these partnerships, I think.
Especially when you use LinkedIn. That was the game changer. I got off Instagram and I got off Facebook, and I just went hard on LinkedIn. And you can get known real quick, and people are keen to catch up for coffees.
You actually deleted it, right? Instagram.
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need this.
I don't need
You're
this.
You're a wise man, Rico.
Yeah, it's like it takes up so much time.
Yeah.
And my ideal clients, I think I did a rebrand with Dan ages ago, and he, we had like 3-4 hour sessions of him just getting Rico out so they could put it into a brand. And one of the most valuable ones were just breaking down 3 of my funnest clients I've worked with, and I based it on, okay, cool. I'm taking Scott Robertson. I'm taking a CEO that's recently sold their company for close to or just over the B mark, and an athlete. And I was like, those are my funnest, because they just took it and ran and got some epic results. And so when we go through them as avatars, I was like, well, their touch points was never Instagram, never Facebook. The 2 authoritative ones in terms of like leaders, they met at an event, and a trusted person referred me to them. And so I was like, well, what the heck am I trying to do on Instagram?
It sounds so logical.
Yeah.
Talking about it.
Yeah, but honestly, it was the best feeling that day. I was like, I can delete this crap. I don't need to post on here because my ideal client is not there.
True.
Just go to where my ideal client is. So I was like, oh, sweet. I've got to join a networking group, and I've got to see if I can build a platform. So I went hard from there on building Kickstart Mornings. So I was like, I will probably get someone to hear me on a platform, and then it's game changer. Sweet. Let's just double down on that. And then I just went only on LinkedIn.
Love it.
And I'm still preaching that one.
Yeah, I love it. Just on a tangent, what does success mean to you? What is your definition of success?
What a question. So this is a funny one, right? I had a person one time when I was working with the All Blacks, some of the players, and this person goes to me and he's like, "Oh, mate, you should be so proud. Like, you're so successful now." And I said, "But I've been doing the same thing for 3 years. Why is it only successful when someone that you think is cool wants it?" And I think that's when my definition of success changed. I think for now, my definition of success is, did you do what you know is right? And if you did, success. Doesn't mean you have to produce a result. It means that the result was you learned something, and it probably got you closer to producing a result that you want. But I think now my definition of success is no longer attached to an end goal or an outcome. It's attached to, was I willing to do the work? And anytime you are willing to do the work, you discover insecurities about yourself. You discover, oh, I didn't know I could do that. That's success, because you're closer to being who you're supposed to be. Yeah, that's me.
I like that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's that.
That's not obviously like a business, like how a business has to measure success is very different.
Yeah.
But personally, that's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're one and the same in that, you are an extension, or the business is an extension of Rico.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I think how I measure business success is, are we impacting? I know that dollars will always come when we're delivering value and impact.
Yeah, I like that.
So I have to go, cool, is what we're doing actually aligned with our level of impact we want to make? If it's not, why the heck are we doing it? And yeah, this year I was able to actually get rid of some stuff that I was like, oh, we just did things because, the year of like economic survival, we got to do some stuff. And whereas now, like, actually, just scale back. What is it that we want to do in terms of impact? Great. What service actually does that? Let's just nail down on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts or beliefs or anything relating to time management? It's one of these topics that I've been obsessing a little bit over lately.
Time management. Okay, so I'm a how do I go about this one? So my beliefs is, one, if you don't manage your time, you're screwed because you lose it all, and you don't get it back. So and because our life is finite, so like you're losing it every day. Therefore, the investment of time, for me, I'm always like, did I invest it well? A lot of people, I've got to find a podcast. I'm going to send it to you one time. It was a guy basically evaluating the investment of each minute spent. It was a bit harder. I probably wouldn't go as far as that, but it was just a good perception to me to say, okay, cool. How long does it take me to do this task? Oh, it takes me 5 minutes. Okay, it probably takes a person 10 times that to learn the task. So an hour, a person will spend more than an hour trying to do the task for the first time that took you 5 minutes. And that's when a lot of leaders get frustrated and they say, oh, I'll just do it then. But then you accumulate those 5 minutes every single day across the year. It's a lot more than that hour. Whereas if you took the hour to sit with the person and now you've gained 5 minutes back each day, well, you bought time. And I always baffle me why a lot of older people say, oh, I like the lifestyle of Christchurch. Because I think as a young person, you're like, no, I want to get out there, see the world, right? And it hit me where the lifestyle is the fact that you're using less time to do like commutes. Like, I can get anywhere in half an hour. Oh, you just bought time. Whereas you can stay in a nice place and take 3 hours to get to a location. Less time with the ones that you love and all those things. So I think time is probably the most precious source. I think as business owners, though, we use time. We don't put time management and energy management together. And so therefore we use all our energy today and we work 12-hour days, right? And therefore we burn ourselves like no tomorrow. Your time is cut short because when you get to 50, you can't even do 2 hours a day, or you've lost all the people you loved. So all those things, I think today I look at it as, does my time and product management fit within my energy output today? And if that does, we'll soar.
Yeah, they're two different commodities, aren't they? Energy and time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you can put them together, you're going to win.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you said was, spending versus investing. That's quite a...
Yeah, I didn't realize I said that. Hey, nice.
You're a genius.
Hey, come on now. Spending versus investing, that's a topic of a podcast right there. Yeah, come on now.
There we go.
Come on now. Yeah, but you're right. We spend a lot of it and there's no return.
Whereas training the staff or training someone, it's like the fishing versus fish, teaching someone to fish versus fishing for them, right?
That's it. It's always going to be I think, it's the classic, like, you can own someone, but you can own something, but is it a liability to you, or is it an asset to you, or is it an asset to someone else? The classic, I don't know, like Robert Kiyosaki stuff, right? Like, is your own home an asset? Yes, but to the bank, liability to you. And I think time is the same thing. It's like how we use it determines, does it give itself back to me, or am I just giving it to someone else? If that makes sense.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Some food for thought there.
They're just a couple
of
just
how you're spitting dimes today. I was like, I've never thought about this now until today.
Early on a Monday morning, Rico. Magic happens in here.
Yeah, tell me about it.
New studio, it's all go.
Come on.
It's all go. Yeah.
So good.
I mean, they're just recurring themes that keep coming up in the podcast and in my day-to-day life, right? Is time, energy management, how are we choosing to spend that time? It's all we've got.
Yeah, that's it. But I can talk about how I personally do it. Like, I don't know if that's of value to someone, but I think I look at it as like, the book I recommended to you on energy management, what was At Your Best.
At Your Best.
At Your Best. And he goes through and he talks about, like green zone, yellow zone, red zone, as in like your energy output for the day. Green zone is you're operating at your brain is doing this thing. You can actually output and time flies. Yellow zone is time's moving normally. Red zone is like, I've hit mental fatigue and I can't action anything. And so you have about 4 hours in the day, depending on what you do, where your brain is at its green zone. And so what I try and do is I try and protect that green zone because it's precious. And so for me at that time, great, I'm going to do what I do best in that time versus the things that zap more energy. So the things that I will do best is, okay, cool, I'm planning for the business. I'm looking at system because I like it now and it gives me energy. And I'm thinking creatively around like, okay, cool, what does this client need? I've got a problem. But those are things that only I can really do. So I'm going to do that. For me, that time is between that 7 to 10 a.m. That's when I'm kind of locking it in. From then, I'll start seeing clients. I'm in my yellow zone. And so cool, my calendar now looks from like 10 a.m. through to 2 p.m. is that client time. And then I will make sure I spend some time to recharge just after that to get through to 5 o'clock. But I won't work after that. So 5 o'clock, I'm like, well, my time is best spent now investing in my family. Great, I need to get home ASAP. So I don't work late, but I'll start my day early when my family's asleep. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I manage it. I used to just kind of just work in my red zone because I thought that's what you should do. But you're just going to make mistakes and you got to re-go over it again and take longer to do a task. So I actually just, that's just not the time to be doing it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and it's different for everyone too, right? Like the two different types of chronotype. The morning and evening person.
For sure.
So it'll be a reverse.
Yeah, my brother's like the work till 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like,
oh,
no thanks.
No way.
That's not me. But yeah, that's kind of how I manage it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really practical. Good book. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, worth it, guys. At Your Best.
At Your Best.
Yeah.
Author, remember?
Kieran Newhoff.
Yeah,
leadership guru.
Yeah. What about next year, 2025?
2025, we're slimming down in terms of the amount of stuff I'm doing.
More is less.
More is less. It is actually, but more is less so that I can build people.
Or less is more.
Or less is more. That's the one. We're just out here spitballing today. 2025.
Predictions.
NeuroFit starts its new journey around in the commercial space. So this whole year, we've just said yes to a lot of things in terms of commercial who would open its door to NeuroFit. And so we're like, cool. It's fun. It was like travel and doing all day stuff, doing this, doing that. And yeah, it just got to the point I was like, man, like what's adding to impact? And in the workplace side was super frustrating because we would come in and they would automatically put us into the workplace well-being box. And the annoying thing about that is, well, everyone clocks off for classic workplace well-being, and especially leaders. And the hard part about leaders is that for us, that's who we work with. Like outside of commercial, when we say come off site, do what you do best, we work with top leaders. And so if we're already coming into a workplace where leaders have clocked off on us, we're on the back foot. And so, a lot of upping and ahhing of who the heck we are in that space. What do we do? Is it a new market? Is it a new target? All that kind of stuff. And so, we the last 3 months settled down on, cool, we're going to basically build emotionally intelligent people leaders. Because most of the workforce, if you look at behaviors that rob organizational health, we're looking at quiet quitting, we're looking at gossip, like culture issues, we're looking at sick leave, we're looking at absenteeism, all those things, but they're all emotionally driven behaviors. And so for us, we're like, well, if you're going to lead people that's resembling those behaviors, you might as well get emotionally intelligent about emotionally driven behaviors. And so that's the process that we're rocking on for next year. And so we're not spreading wire. We're basically looking at, we're just working with, at the moment, 4 companies across 12 months, 4 quarters, different focuses around people leadership and how do you see behind the person's behavior. And you can do that by seeing behind yours, basically. And so, that's the big turn for NeuroFit in the workplace. It's not like, oh, cool, we're doing this 7-week program with you. Nah, we're getting some long-term results.
4 companies,
leaders.
4 quarters.
Yeah, 4 quarters across so it's basically like if you think of 4 quarters themed, right? So quarter 1, emotional health as a leader. Quarter 2, connection and trust. Quarter 3, hard conversations and disappointment and reject, all the good stuff that we have to go through as leaders. And quarter 4, basically how to moving from manipulation to inspiration. So it's like, how do you actually inspire people without manipulating them? And then in that, each leader gets 3 one-on-one coaching sessions each quarter. And so we have coaches now that will basically look at each quarter. We're giving you a leadership behavior that we want you to implement that's going to help your team. And then we unpack the emotional resistance that you got with that behavior so that the behavior sticks each quarter. And then across the year, it's been a game changer in terms of results.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's probably the big change.
That's a big change.
Next year.
Yeah. Anything else come to mind if we're sitting here December 2025?
December 2025. I am putting a lot more emphasis on my own personal brand next year. So, and we're still working that out. Whether it's like on NeuroFit, we've got a book Rico page just because a few conferences are reaching out and you're like, is this NeuroFit? Is this me? Kind of thing. And so I'm probably, rocking on that side of like, Rico, you can book me and I'll come to your conference and be a keynote speaker.
Is Instagram coming back?
Not at this stage. Not at this stage.
Stick with the LinkedIn.
Maybe when NeuroFit starts a podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that on the works?
Maybe then. Right now, because we're connected with the social club in Christchurch. They're doing media for members. And so, we're getting a podcast set up for that. So it's not like live for everybody. It's just for members. And then maybe it just gives us content to start pushing out. Yeah. We'll see how that one goes.
Cool.
But yeah.
I like it.
Should be good though.
Yeah.
2025, I'm pumped for it.
Yeah. Yeah, likewise.
There's a lot less. I say we've made space for a lot more of my time to be spent on the business for the first time in 5 years. And that I'm pumped.
You're pumped up.
I'm pumped, man.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Have you done a lot of speaking at other events, non-NeuroFit related?
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. So we had a few conferences. For like other, like, like we did, there's a lot. We did a tour with another company last year and this year around in the education space. And so, and then a conference with a whole bunch of principals in certain districts across the nation. Yeah. It's
Cool.
been a few. And
like
it's fun. Like, it really is.
So it gives you energy.
It gives me energy. You meet a lot more people. And outside of Christchurch, you forget that no one knows who the heck NeuroFit is. And so it's a little like, oh man, I'm telling my story again, and it feels like it's received for the first time. So, and that's always fun.
Speaking of NeuroFit and the name, do you remember the origin of it? Do you remember where you pulled it from or how it came? I like it.
NeuroFit and the name. It was basically associating results with brain. So, because I didn't want to, I think mental fitness is very, very airy-fairy at the moment with like a lot of positive tools, but nothing deals with pain. And so, at the same time, a lot of people I see mental fitness as results. And so we were like, oh, well, can we attach the work that we do to results? And that was like very gym orientated. So we're like, okay, we'll put fit in there. And it was literally like, okay, well, neuro makes sense because we don't do physical fitness. We only do this. And then behind that, like behind the name is when you discover that, this is how you get results, and it's not by the same thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think NeuroFit really just came about like, oh, can we show that we get results? And it's a very different brand to anything in the well-being or wellness or therapy space.
I love it.
Yeah.
Any other book recommendations or podcasts?
Book recommendations for like what, business, leadership, or
just personal favorites?
Just personal favorites. Personal favorite, Intentional Living by John Maxwell, good old leadership guru. But yeah, that was a book that changed the game for me. Probably got me off my bum and actually got intentional with life.
Interesting.
Cleaning Up the Mental Messes, if you're keen to rock into like the mental side, by Dr. Caroline Leaf. That's a real good book. It kind of shows you a bit more around like the mind and how the mind works with your brain. A book that I've really enjoyed this year that I was like, different, was 7 Rules to 7 Figures by Peter Voog. So Peter Voog is like a classic, like millennial, all around like productivity, time management, and then like producing results, get to work. But the whole book is essentially like auditing your time and comparing it to like billionaires and multimillionaires and how they spend their time, and then what the heck are you doing?
Same amount of time, right?
Yeah, same amount of time. So it was like, I think that one really got me off my butt this year, and like, all right, let's just flip and go.
It's a pretty hard mirror to look at.
It is
sometimes.
a very hard mirror. But I like that. I don't get time to waste. So, yeah, that's probably a book for me this year.
Well, I appreciate your time, Rico.
No, all good.
I appreciate the support with the podcast too. You're on the website.
No worries.
NeuroFit is a sponsor.
Stoked to be here. We believe in it.
How good.
People grow when they start building things or building businesses. They grow. And for us, we're all about, can we help you become who you mean to be? So if we are here to partner with us, then we partner with us.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect synergy.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So we've got the February event, date to be determined, but sometime in February.
Yes.
We'll put a link to that below.
Yes.
If anyone cannot make that one, there's always cohorts.
100%. There's always cohorts. So, yeah, it's basically just done by intake. So we normally have dates up. When you enroll, you lock a date in, and then you slot in. And so,
cool.
Pretty chill.
And what about the social club, real quick?
Social club. So social club this year was basically trying to take all our like NeuroFit's social impact stuff, events, workshops, Kickstart Mornings, and put it under a brand that was purely for social impact. And so, yeah, this year they basically took on like a workshop every month from like NeuroFit contracts in for a workshop every month. They do a Kickstart Mornings, and then they'll do an event called Real Talk, which is pretty epic. We did one on it was like dating, marriage, and divorce, and basically like a panel of people that's in each stage doing it well. And yeah, funniest but biggest event we've ever had.
Wow.
So just things like that. It's like, oh man, people really want to connect, but can we give them something epic to connect around, which is growth. Next year they're changing it up a little bit. So next year they looked at this year what was loved by the members, and club coffees was probably the best one. So each month they do like a club coffee event, literally just come and hang out, have coffee and pastries and connect. And the event would go on for like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Like it was like people just wouldn't leave. And so, so they were like, oh, well, next year we are making that more consistent versus workshops coming in. So we're doing, it's basically like club coffee every month, Real Talk event every 2 months, and then Kickstart Mornings. And then the NeuroFit workshops goes on to club content. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's good.
I'm excited. I'm pumped for you.
Oh, I'm fizzy, man. I'm pumped to get through 2024 right now. My mind's already in 2025.
Yeah.
And so it's that tension of like, well, I'm still doing what's relevant now, but I'm seeing where that could be next year. And I'm like, let's go.
It's just a couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks and holidays, So I'm fizzing for holidays.
Home straight.
Come on now.
Any last parting words you want to leave the audience with?
Parting words. Nah.
No quotes, no jokes,
quotes, mate. Just be you. Go have a good time off.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you know where to find us. Something stop you from having a good time off. But yeah.
Love it.
Thanks,
hey,
man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
See you back soon.
Yeah.